Very much, Mr. Gao. I'll now ask our panelists to come up on the stage and we'll have our panel discussion. And while they're coming up, I'll introduce them one by one. Mr. Sear. Mr. Sear is currently the Director of QA and is a Senior Consultant of the Audit and Licensing section of HSA Singapore. I have known Mr. Sear for over 25 years. In fact, I led the PICS assessment of HSA Singapore way back in the late 90s, I think it was. And Mr. Sear actually helped HSA achieve WHO Maturity Level 4, which is the highest level that can be achieved by a regulatory authority. He has chaired the ASEAN MRA Task Force on GMP. He's also a world-famous author. He's authored or co-authored a book which is actually on display just outside this forum. So congratulations on your book, Mr. Sear. Our next panelist is Joyce Cirunay. Joyce, I've known Joyce also for many years. She is the Deputy Director, Field Regulatory Operations Office, Philippine FDA, and it's just a fairly recent appointment. So congratulations on your recent appointment, Joyce. She was previously head of GMP at the Philippine FDA, and I'm actually currently assisting the Philippine FDA with their preparation for PICS membership. Our next panelist is Dr. Yeon Kim. I first met Jeong way back 2013, helping the Korean GMP inspectorate get PICS membership, which they got in 2014. Jeong leads the Pharmaceutical Quality Division of MFDS, the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, South Korea. She has had 27 years in GMP policy and inspections, and she's contributed to GMP through PICS and WHO. And she's actually presenting this afternoon at a regulatory track at 1:40 if you want to hear more about her GMP experience. And we have Emer. Where's Emer? I've already introduced Emer, and we'll start our panel discussion. So the first question I'm going to ask Dr. Jeong, and that is the current PICS strategic plan promotes inspection reliance, and it does this by advocating that one GMP inspection for one site will be accepted by all PICS members. It's a vision that PICS has put in their strategic plan. It's a very ambitious vision. It would be great if that does happen eventually for the industry. So would you like to tell us where we're at, or where PICS is at with that vision?
Okay, the PICS strategic plan for 2023 to 2027, it pursues the inspection reliance rather than just one inspection result to fit to all regulators. I think that is a kind of a long-term vision, actually. For that, the most important thing is about the trust building and the exchanging those inspection results. So for that, the PICS is pushing forward to achieve that goal by various subcommittees and working group activities, and as well as the sharing the information about the inspection schedules and the inspection reports exchanges if necessary. Nowadays, we have 56 participating authorities in PICS. So as the membership expands, we think that we have sufficient the infrastructure to pushing forward to the goal. So I think that nowadays we are working hard toward that goal. So we are closer to the achievement.
Thank you, Jeong. Also, maybe, Emer, you could add to that. There is, in the EMA, there's an inspection working group, IWG, and they have an inspection reliance pilot operating. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and whether it's on the road towards achieving inspection reliance?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bob. And thank you very much for telling us about the PICS strategic plan. I think inspired by the PICS strategic plan, EU decided to operate a pilot, and this took place between October 2022 and December 2024. What we did there was that we invited EU authorities to rely on PICS authorities for the GMP inspection. Now, the sites obviously had to be located in a PICS country. We had a small group of authorities involved. We had 6 inspectorates from Europe who were involved in it. And during that period of time, we looked at 13 sites in 7 PICS countries. And we were able to, there were positive results for 10 of those sites. So there weren't inspections, but we were able to use the information from the PICS authorities' inspections to extend the GMP certificate in 9 cases, and in 1 case to actually issue a new GMP certificate. So 13, I said there were 13 in the pilot, so 3 were not successful. So why were the 3 not successful? One of the reasons was because the scope of the inspection by the PICS authority didn't address the aspects of the inspection that was needed by the EU authorities. And the second reason was that there had been some substantial changes in the site, and these had not been covered by the previous inspection. So overall, I would say that's a very positive result. So 10 out of 13 were able to use the PICS inspection authorities to and not do the inspection themselves that would have been necessary.
Thank you. I think some of the industry surveys have indicated that there's been less duplicate inspections generally, but I think there'll always be some duplicate inspections. But at least we're hearing from PICS and EMA that there's some success with inspection reliance, which is very good. The next question, I think this is also for Emer. You mentioned Annex 22 on artificial intelligence, which is very good to hear because that's really the future. So PICS and EMA, they've issued these draft documents. I think it's Annex 11, computerized systems, the new draft Annex 22, artificial intelligence, and currently these documents are up for comment from interested parties. So really, what is the purpose of these changes, and what do you expect, or when do you expect them to be actually active?
Thank you very much, Bob. And I think I briefly mentioned this during my presentation. So both, PICS and the EMA try to have common GMP guidance, and we have the common basis for the GMP guide. So the changes to Annex 11 and the new draft 22, they're out for consultation at the moment, and I think the deadline is 7th of October. But really, if I was to talk about what the purpose of these changes are, and it's really to try and ensure that industry has the confidence to take up digital technologies, but really to make sure that we have a robust regulatory framework and guidance on how best to implement these. Now, the drafts that are published were written together with PICS, with FDA, TGA, Health Canada, and Swissmedic. And the idea is to modernize GMP to reflect digital transformation, but also to ensure data integrity and regulatory compliance across all systems, whether they're manual, digital, or AI-driven. We continue to promote quality risk management and also quality by design, also in documentation and computerized systems. And it's, the Annex 22 aims to provide a framework for safe use of AI in manufacturing and quality control. So the goals also include international alignment and the goal to support innovation.
And I guess GMP inspectors also need training in this area. And I understand there's a PICS seminar in Hong Kong in November, which the topic is advanced technology, including artificial intelligence. So as an industry, you can expect GMP inspectors to be asking a lot of questions about artificial intelligence in the use of your factories in the future. It won't, I guess it'll take a couple of years before Annex 22 becomes active. So you'll, as an industry, you have a chance to become familiar with this area yourselves. Would any of the other panelists like to comment on this? Mr. Sia.
Yeah, if I may add on to what Emer has said, I think Annex 11 was first published in 2011. So it's almost 15 years old. So in a way, it's timely to revisit Annex 11, especially when new technologies, including AI, as well as challenges have emerged, such as data integrity issues, systems security issues, electronic signatures and audit trail reviews, and so on. And this, in a way, got to do in tandem. The revision of Annex 11 has to be in tandem with the creation of a new annex on artificial intelligence. And I think a closely related area is actually the Chapter 4. Chapter 4 of the EU GMP standard, as well as the PICS guide, is about documentation. So Chapter 4 will emphasize data governance systems, regardless of the format of the data, whether it's paper-based, electronic, or hybrid system. And I think Chapter 4 will also emphasize that all documentations, whether they are text, images, audio, video recordings, they will have to be complete and readable throughout the life cycles. And the principles of ALCOA Plus will apply to all data, regardless of the format. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sia. I guess this raises the other question: what future changes to GMP will occur over the next 5 or 10 years? And I know the PICS and the European GMPs, they're virtually identical, except for a couple of small areas. And one is the recent publication, well, I think it's a draft document, Annex 21, on importation, which is not covered in the PICS GMP. And the other one is the Annex 2. There's going to be a slight divergence, I think, in the way PICS handle Annex 2 and the way EU handles Annex 2. Would any of you like to comment on that? No? Okay.
Well, so before that, I'd like to add on to the AI.
Okay.
Okay. So last year, our agency hosted the first AI symposium with US FDA. And this year, in next 2 weeks, we have second symposium on AI. I understand this is a pretty early stage for the pharmaceutical industry to adopt the AI. Even so, there are many attempts to adopt the technology. And the last years, a lot of experts emphasized that even though it is an early stage, they need some guidelines about the data treatment and the definitions, how they can make a progress within certain frame, even though it is not in detail. So I think at this time, that's because the Annex 22 is having high importance. So I think this is in the stage of consultation. I think the most pharmaceutical industry should pay attention to the artificial intelligence annexes, even though it is more focused on the IT area, so it's not familiar. But even so, it is very important. And for the questions of the next 5 years, and the most imminent revision is expected in the Annex 11 and 22, of course. And then in PICS, we have a lot of discussions, including the ATMP and blood products and cellular therapies as well, and the other small documentation or quality management system, and etc. So, so what I'd like to emphasize is that now we have 56 participating authority, which means we share the same guideline. So all the 56 regulatory authorities should follow the same guideline. So it is very important for the industry in each country should pay attention to that, because anyhow, if it is a revision is completed, we have to follow it. So.
And I guess the important thing is they have to follow the latest version of the PICS GMP guide, which leads me to a question for Joyce. In the Philippines, you're currently working to the version 14 of the PICS GMP guide. What's the plan for adopting version 17?
Good morning, everyone. We are working on the Annex 14. However, we are in collaboration with the industry in preparation for Annex 17 because we cannot just implement outright. There has to be a collaboration anywhere, not only in the Philippines, with the industry. In order for any given country to be ready for any changes in PICS, the industry has to be there, hand in hand with the regulators. There will be a lot of challenges. The regulators will attend seminars on the side of PICS, which is done yearly. But the industry, they have their own way because these regulations emanated from the innovations of the industry. So you have your own experts. So it would be better for the industry to also help the regulators because they develop it. The regulators will put regulation to safeguard public health. So working together, like in the Philippines, we are doing collaborations with the industry and how we can better approach Annex 17. We are there with Annex 14, but Annex 17 is new. So it has to be a collaboration. You cannot work alone. It's not a one-way traffic, and neither it is a one regulator island. It has to be working together within ASEAN for helping each other learn the Annex 17, and within the country, industry, and the regulators to reach Annex 17 harmoniously between the two parties in order, at the end of the day, protect the patients. Safety, efficacy, and quality is not only covered by the National Regulatory Authority, came from the industry. So we had to work together to protect us because we are consumers at the end of the day.
Thank you, Joyce. And normally, regulators give the industry a certain transition time to adopt a new version. So what transition time will you give your industry?
For the Philippines, it is always a discussion with the industry. We look at 5 years to have a full transition. But we do not go into 5 immediately because we had to look at the industry. We had to help each other. You cannot shoot the industry in the foot just because we still need to understand exactly how to implement in the industry, how to comply with new regulations. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question, I asked Mr. Sear this question, I think every time we get up on the stage here, and that is the ASEAN MRA on GMP covers only medicinal products. When is it likely that APIs and biologicals will be covered by the ASEAN MRA?
Yeah, okay, Bob, you're right. The current ASEAN sectoral MRA on GMP inspection covers only pharmaceutical products in finished dosage form. It was signed in 2009, implemented in 2012. But today we actually have APIs and biopharmaceuticals incorporated into the sectoral MRA. It's going to be signed in November this year. And a grace period of up to 5 years will be given to the industry to level up. What I think can come out of this is that it is most likely that the current ASEAN listed inspection services, which are PICS members, including Singapore HSA, Malaysia's NPRA, Indonesia Badan POM, Thailand FDA, and hopefully Philippines FDA, they will not need to be reassessed for this new inclusion of APIs and biopharmaceuticals. But the other 5 ASEAN member states, comprising of Brunei, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam, they will need to be assessed for competency in inspection of manufacturers of both pharmaceuticals, biopharmaceuticals, and APIs before they can be included in the register of ASEAN listed inspection services.
So that will probably mean quite a bit of training for these inspectors, particularly training in APIs and biological inspection.
Certainly. In fact, we were quite fortunate to have Korea Ministry of Food and Drug Safety, who has been actually helping ASEAN in the training of inspectors. Actually, it was based on the ISPE training needs analysis, which we did many years ago. Yeah. It was taken over by Korea MFDS, and training of ASEAN inspectors in both APIs, pharmaceuticals, and biopharmaceuticals have started since 2017. And since then, at least or close to 10 such training courses have been conducted. So we have to thank Korea MFDS.
So Jeong, would you like to tell us a little bit about that training program that you have for not just ASEAN inspectors, but I guess many other inspectorates as well?
So actually, it is limited to the Asian countries, Asian 10 countries. So we invite 2 inspectors from 10 Asian countries per year to have a conference and a training program for a week, 5 days. So until now, it started since 2015, and it's been 10 years. So until now, so we have around 300 inspectors from Asian countries participated.
Thank you. Joyce, I know the Philippines has recently applied for PICS membership, and it still leaves some of the ASEAN countries like Vietnam and Cambodia. Do you think they will eventually make an application for PICS? Will that happen?
Well, hopefully, if there are Vietnamese industry here, hopefully. We are encouraging, like what Emer is saying, Reliance is already here. And like the Philippines, we are still an applicant, but we are already relying with PICS, and there's quite a number now. You don't have to send your inspector. You don't have much inspector. So for us, we try to make use of what is already there. Anyway, we're using PICS. So we are giving this during talks to encourage other ASEAN member states to try and apply for PICS, because we are not many in the National Regulatory Authority, but we are asked to protect the country. And they are there, these PICS members are there, and they have, we are using the same GMP. And for as long as the production line, like what Emer is saying, for as long as the production line that from where that product is coming from, and it will be applying in your country, there are no changes, no variations, none whatsoever. For the Philippines, we already use Reliance while we are still an applicant to PICS, because we already saw the benefits from the start. Again, protecting the patients, safety, efficacy, and quality is not only on drug evaluation, but from where these products are coming from outside the Philippines.
Thank you, Joyce. Yes, Sia.
Just a quick add-on. Philippines FDA applied for PICS membership after being included in the ASEAN Register of Listed Inspection Services in 2020. Actually, the same happened for the Thai FDA. Thai FDA was included as an ASEAN Listed Inspection Service in 2015, and the following year, the Thai FDA became a member of PICS. So quite clearly, being an ASEAN listed inspection service facilitate the PICS accession journey. So we hope that Vietnam and Cambodia will follow in the footsteps of Thailand and Philippines and apply to be a PICS member. But at this point in time, both Cambodia and Thailand have not applied even to be an ASEAN listed inspection service. So to be a PICS member might still be quite a long haul. I just hope that I'm wrong, because Vietnam and Cambodia can bypass the ASEAN route and apply to the PICS Secretariat directly. So we hope that happens. Thank you.
We hope that happens, yes. This is a question from the audience. It's for Emer and Sia. MHRA UK released a piece of legislation on modular point-of-care manufacturing this year, bringing manufacturing closer to the patient. Can you elaborate concurrent initiatives in your respective frameworks that support this?
Thank you very much. And just to say that actually we're working closely with MHRA, and in fact in the new pharma legislation that I spoke about in my presentation, there are provisions for decentralized manufacturing. There'll be broad provisions that we'll have to translate into more detailed guidance, but we're very much looking at what MHRA has done. And I have to say that one of my colleagues and friends, Jan Rees, has been responsible for the MHRA legislation, and we've also involved Jan in work on the International Coalition of Medicines Regulatory Authorities, and we had a workshop on decentralized manufacturing in December 2024. You'll see the report of that decentralized manufacturing on the ICMRA website. There was a session chaired by the MHRA there. But in the context of our own framework within Europe, we have already looked at portable on-demand site, decentralized manufacturing for ATMP, and we see great opportunities for more flexible application of some of the QP principles that will allow this to be adopted in a more streamlined way.
Sia, would you like to add to that?
Okay. Decentralized manufacturing is also known as point-of-care manufacturing or distributed manufacturing. I think Emer has alluded a little bit to the presentation where you see portable, transportable manufacturing or production units that are very close to the patient. In the book which I co-wrote, there is a chapter on it.
Oh, very good.
Okay, so I hope maybe going forward there is a new PICS annex on point of care manufacturing.
Maybe you could lead that project, Sia.
Of course, this got to be initiated within the PICS fraternity.
Well, as a consultant.
Oh, no. This one, really, you need very deep knowledge. So it probably got to be industry consultants, coming into the picture. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sia. Another question. It's now common practice for the US FDA to carry out unannounced inspections. In fact, they made this announcement last year that I think most of their inspections are unannounced, particularly overseas inspections in countries like India, Pakistan, China. What does this mean for the MRA between EU and US FDA? And are any of the PICS inspectorates considering a similar approach? Maybe Emer, you could start.
Yeah, so maybe just to start from our own experience with the MRA between the US and FDA and EU, we don't expect it to have a significant impact on the FDA. Because for some product, on the MRA, because for products that are not covered by the FDA, by the MRA at the moment, we already have the possibility of unannounced inspections, and this does happen. But for products that are covered by the MRA, the FDA can request a national competent authority to conduct an inspection on their behalf. And again, there's a possibility within our EU legislation that unannounced inspections are possible. So if they want us to conduct an unannounced inspection, we can do that. So the overall provision exists, and so far we have not seen any change in our operations.
Any other comments? Sia?
Announced inspection is the norm in Singapore. If you talk about unannounced inspection, it's probably 5% or less in Singapore. Unannounced inspection arise in Singapore usually out of whistleblowing. Sometimes they are initiated by HSA on recalcitrant manufacturers with a very poor track record of GMP compliance. But in light of what's going on in the US and in Europe, actually HSA is now in the midst of reviewing the ratio of announced versus unannounced inspection. But my gut feel is that there's not going to be a major shift in terms of the ratio, and certainly not for overseas inspection, where it is logistically and legally quite challenging for us. I don't know whether our legislation permit this or not.
Okay, thank you. I think just one last question. We're running out of time, and that is, should industry and regulators be preparing their systems for the next pandemic? Emer?
Well, absolutely. I think that the things that worked during the pandemic really were because we had collaboration already between, certainly between regulators. We were able to use distance inspections because we thought about that before. We're going to update our GMP guide based on the experience we had during the pandemic and also the experience during our pilot coordinated hybrid inspections. So we'll update that. It means that we've got the measures in place to do this. All the things that worked well during the pandemic was because we were prepared. We've got a lessons learned from our side. And these things, I think we have to make sure that we maintain. So we don't know where the next pandemic will come from, but we do know that we will need to cooperate together. We will need to rely on each other. So we have to make sure we have the systems in place to do that.
So thank you, panelists. Thank you very much. And I'd like